On this episode of Pennies Going in Raw, the much anticipated Roth IRA episode. So let's strap in and figure out how the hell we're gonna retire rich.
Hey yo, check 1, 2. This is Flavor Flav in the building for the Atlas crew.
Atlas Trading, what the fuck is up?
There are traitors, there are prodigies, and then there's legends.
We're on 4%, baby.
No way.
4 fucking percent.
Buy the fucking dip.
Hey, who told me about IDEX?
Like, dude, what the fuck? Like, someone just made, like, a lot more money than me on my trade.
You find out life's this game of pennies.
Did you check the portfolio?
Pennies. The margin for error is so small.
I bet Warren Buffett never did that.
And they out there making money right now off of penny stocks.
Them two guys is putting in work to make y'all rich.
The pennies we need are everywhere around us.
Time to think big.
Pennies Going in Raw.
Featuring Dan, Deity of Dips, and Hugh Henne.
Produced by Vinny Strokes, baby.
Welcome to the Penny Stock Podcast presented by the Blazing Chronicle. Today is Sunday, August 16th, and it was a really shaky week. I think a few more slow weeks like this in the market, and that's what's really going to start shaking out some of these all stocks go up, newer trader demographic. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. This is going to shake out the bitches.
Yeah, it's going to shake them out, man. This week was tough. But I'll be honest, man. First week not profitable since I think March. Should we cut this part out so people don't stop listening when they find out that we weren't profitable?
Yeah, dude, who would listen to us if you're not profitable, you know?
So you were profitable.
Yeah, I was, but I definitely got my ass kicked this week. Tesla options just railed me.
Dude, yeah. I don't play options, but I still got railed, so don't worry. What really did it in for me, between ONTX just having some crazy moves. It was a wild one for ONTX. It dropped into 80 cents. Like that messed with every emotional bone in my girly figured body. And L-Lit getting investigated by the fucking Chinese SEC. Yeah, that neither of those helped my week's gains. I thought LLIT was a really good one around that 55-cent mark. I saw some abnormal selling, and it dropped to like 51. But sure enough, I stayed true of heart and ended up selling around 41 cents, which was awful. But what would have been nice is if we could have preloaded LPCN before we just gave away free money on the podcast. Did you hop in, or did you miss out as well?
Yeah, no, so I had totally planned to get in there on, I think we said Wednesday was when I was planning on getting into it, but we saw that they had an S3, and I was not messing with that. So the difference between that and TRVN was that I understood TRVN, the science behind it, and I felt like there was a good chance of them getting approval. LPCN, we were just going to play the run-up and hold a very, 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 very small amount, but the thing with LPCN was that they had already failed, I think it was 2 or 3 times, so I wasn't really confident that they would get approval, and they had a S3 out. So, you know, with penny stocks especially, if the management doesn't feel that that they're going to get the PDUFA, and they, you know, are crappy people, then they'll drop the S3 during the run-up, and that's not something that I wanted to be caught in. You know, it had a pretty good run-up this week, so a lot of people made some money, but it just wasn't for me. The risk matrix was way off. Yeah,
right. And along with that, I probably would have bought it Friday, but then whenever we really jumped in and looked at it Monday after we dropped the podcast, it was already at 15%, which is a little bit out of my comfort range anyways.
I was actually planning on catching it on dip. I think Tuesday it dipped nicely. But like I said, is that the risk matrix just completely changed with the S3.
So let's dive right into Roth IRA. And for all the big Hugh Henne rant fans out there, I have decided to allow him an extra few minutes, maybe 20-minute little rant at the end of the podcast to talk all things Roth IRA that we don't get into right here. So make sure you stick around for that. But yeah, let's just dive on in. Hugh, what is a Roth IRA?
Yeah, so a Roth IRA, you know, because we're technical guys, aren't we?
Always.
So Roth comes from William Roth, who was a senator for Delaware. Great state. Great state. If we ever did Dan and Hugh Capital.
One of the top 50.
Oh, dude. Yeah, one of the top 50. It would definitely be incorporated in Delaware. So that's where Roth comes from, William Roth. And then you have IRA, which is individual retirement account.
Okay, so aside from the fact that William Roth is your answer to the, if there was anyone dead or living that you could have dinner with, that'd be your answer. From my understanding, which is very basic, a Roth IRA is a retirement account. Then you can deposit a certain amount, which is $6,000 a year, to grow earnings with less tax limitations than if you were just investing regularly in your Webull account.
Yeah, that's perfect. Exactly. And so the key points here, okay, are that it's after taxed income. So a lot of people like to think as paying the Roth IRA like they're paying the gardener or the landscaper, because
but it's not taxed. So like you go pay $10, now you're paying $11. It's taxed on the way in. So I think a good way to explain this would be, let's say I'm making $100,000 and I have to pay 35% of that. I'm left with $65,000, but I still want to put some money into my Roth IRA. Where is that money coming from? Where does that happen?
Yeah, exactly. So of that $65,000 that you're left with, ideally you contribute max, which would be $6,000, ideally leaving you with $59,000 to live on.
All right, so exactly. It is just the taxed income. I think that's such a good explanation of it, just knowing that it's just coming from what you were already getting. If you can afford it, that's where it should be going for a safe amount.
Yeah, exactly.
So there are two different types of IRAs. I know a lot of people talk about their traditional IRA and how exactly, their job will match that. Can you explain the differences in the two?
Yeah, so there's a really, the most dominant difference is when you get the tax break, because both of them are great for taxes. The difference is that a traditional IRA, you get your tax break up front. So what's that mean? That means that you don't really pay taxes until you go to take the money out or withdraw. With a Roth IRA, you pay the money up front and then you don't pay any taxes when you make your withdrawals. Of course there's, different rules in there, but say that you follow all the rules, you don't have to pay any taxes when you go to take the money out and you withdraw it.
Yeah, so it's kind of just like once you pay the amount off of your taxed income, you don't have to worry about paying anything else. That's just gains from there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you can have both a traditional and a Roth IRA, but limits arise on Roths when you hit certain limits. Can you kind of explain the benefits of having both of them and the transition from hitting these financial limits? Yeah,
so this is really important. In fact, everybody should have both because both of them are good for different reasons. But the traditional is so much more commonly known. And the reason behind this is that, I don't know the statistics, but the amount of people that are employees, okay, so they work for somebody, and if your employer gives you benefits, what most of them also do is that they'll match your 401k. And so when you say you come out of college and you go to a big boy job, okay, the first thing that they're going to do inside one of your first few weeks there, HR is going to ask you how much you want to contribute. And so if you don't have a traditional, then they'll set you up with one. So that is why a lot of people, because you don't even think about it, you just go there, no one's sitting you down and telling you to make a Roth IRA your first day in the door. And the traditional has huge benefits. Obviously, we don't like that you're taxed at the end, and that's something that a lot of people don't really understand. Say that, even though your marginal tax rate will go down when you retire, say you have $1 million inside your traditional account. If your marginal tax rate is 15% when you retire, well, then that means that the government instantly takes $150,000 from you. So take out, what is that? Like, say if you did $1 million over 30 years, they're taking years.
15%.
Yeah, they're taking years of you're basically working for the government for years in the traditional. But the good thing is that, again, in a traditional, your company will match a certain percentage of what you put into it. So, even though it sucks that the government takes so much, part of it is, that the company that you work for.
Yeah, I think a lot of the thing is like the company that you work for that provide these, like we were just about to talk about, was the limits. I think before we kind of get into it is the fact that the Roth IRA, once you make, I believe it's $140,000 a year as a single individual, you can no longer deposit to your Roth IRA. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So this is really key because we should all.
Yeah, because now you can kind of have a reason to have your traditional IRA.
Exactly. And this is really key because your traditional, you don't have income limits. With your Roth IRA for your single, so this is your single income, and it's based
Bachelors.
Yeah. It's $139,000. Now again, like the contribution limit, this will change and does change frequently. Every few years, it'll change. So it's $139,000 if you're single, and if you're filing joint, so married, then it's $206,000. And I think one of the biggest things that everyone needs to understand is that why are there contribution limits? Why? Dan, why are there contribution limits?
I don't know. I was hoping you were going to answer that one.
Because the government is literally, the government doesn't want you to, the government, if everyone could put so much money inside the Roth, the government would go broke. The government puts contribution limits because this is such a good deal. It's a great deal. Sorry. I know I'm getting worked up.
Yeah. Dude, if you don't have one, you're losing money. And that I'm getting one yesterday.
Dude, I was so mad when you told me that you didn't have a Roth. Dude,
I didn't have money to get a Roth. The whole $6,000 thing was an illustrious thing that was imaginary and very far in the distance for me. Just 6 months ago. When
you give me the green light to rant, I'm gonna freak. I'm gonna freak. But okay. So again, with the limits, okay. If you make that much, then they won't allow you to directly contribute to your Roth IRA.
So how the hell can we keep getting these good deals, Hugh?
Wow. I'm so happy you asked, Dan. That's a really good question. And so this is also something, I'm sorry. I have to do it. I don't care if you have a financial advisor, everybody should know. You should know more about your money than that financial advisor that has all those freaking licenses and all this shit. Because half of, I would say, a good chunk, do not even tell you about the Roth rollover. Okay, it's like a backdoor. It's completely legal. And how you can still contribute to your Roth is that you contribute to your traditional. Okay, again, the contribution limit for the traditional is still the same. And so you can.
So traditional and Roth both have a $6,000 limit?
Yes, exactly.
Gotcha.
And so what you can do is that you can contribute to your traditional and then roll it over to your Roth. And every year you just do that. Is that if you make too much money, then you contribute to your traditional and then roll it over to Roth. It's super simple. Your traditional just becomes a vehicle to move the money. I don't know why someone wouldn't do it.
So with that being said, if you're under $150,000 a year, and I know this is pretty unrealistic for anyone making under $150,000 a year, would there be a way for them to deposit $12,000 a year by depositing into both?
Yes, they should. Oh my God! If you're
living frugal but making like 120 racks a year and you're a little bachelor,
yes,
you're in the prime spot, huh, Hugh?
Yes, you should literally. I don't care how old you are. You should be max contributing to everything, because I can't right now. You should be max contributing. I don't care if you live on $300 a month. The difference in max contributing now and max contributing in 5 years is huge, because when you can't contribute to that Roth, I bet your ass you're going to be wishing you did when you see the numbers. The numbers are astronomical.
Yeah, it's like, what is the money in your savings account doing? So I think that's a good point. So let's say someone can be depositing this, but they like to have the money in a savings account. If they need to take it out, is this going to be an issue? Like if their house burns down or anything?
Yeah. Okay. So this is really important because The government wants you to wait till 59 and a half. There's nothing, there's not really getting around to that. So you can, now this is really good because the really cool thing about the Roth is that they give you certain leniencies.
Yeah, I noticed with like the whole, like there's a national pandemic going on, you can take out your 401k and shit like that.
Yeah, so of course, like, things like that, when there's a pandemic, knock on wood, there's not another one, the government will make special leniencies. But when there isn't, and say you want an early withdrawal, okay?
Yeah, when there isn't a worldwide pandemic, this is the norm.
Yeah, exactly. So the government wants you to wait till 59 and a half. Now, your withdrawals of your contributions are always penalty free, okay? Let me say that again, okay? Because you can, so there is some wiggle room. Your withdrawals are always penalty free. But now we're getting kind of, I don't want to get too in depth. For anyone that has life insurance.
Yeah, save that for the end.
I know. Anybody that has life insurance, they'll let you take your withdrawals out and put them back in tax-free. With your Roth, that doesn't work like that. So say, Dan, that you put in $6,000 tomorrow and you want to take out $1,000. Say in like 7 years, okay, you want to take out $1,000. Okay, they'll allow you to take out the $1,000, but when you say, okay, I don't need the 1,000 anymore, they won't just let you put it in. The contribution limit is strict, $6,000. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
And then if you are, so again, the government wants you to wait till you're 59 and a half. Now, if you're under 59 and a half and you have to take the money out, okay? And this is where I get so mad. I get so mad at people. You pay a 10% penalty. So with your traditional, so think about this. This is where it gets absolutely absurd. Okay.
Yeah. So you'd be like the amount that I'd be taxed on my gains anyways would be more than that. So it'd be more beneficial anyways.
Yeah, well, yeah, but so think about this. Ready? Say Dan, you're 40. Okay, you're working for PwC, the accounting firm, and say that you in your side your traditional. This is where it gets absurd. Your traditional IRA. Okay.
Yeah, let's make it 10 years for each, just for easy math. I've been working since 30, and I have 6,000 in both of them, so I have 60 in both.
Well, think about, okay, yeah, so say you have 60 in both, okay? Think about this, okay, with the traditional. Say you have to take out $10,000, okay? Not only, or say you want to take it all out, screw it. Say you want to take all 60 grand out of your traditional IRA, okay? You're taxed 10%, okay, as a penalty, and then on top of that, you're taxed your regular taxes that you would be taxed on your traditional IRA. So
if that 60,000 turned into 100,000, I would have to pay regular taxes on that 40,000 I gained, in addition to the 10% that I had to take out.
Well, so yeah, so this is say you were just withdrawing and closing your traditional account. Okay, my point is that the government, the point why it's so crucial to have both is that if you go to your traditional, and this is why everyone that goes to retirement, they can't believe how much money is taken from them because you're taxed at your marginal tax rate. So say your tax rate, or say your marginal tax rate is 30%, okay? And say that you have $100,000 inside that account, inside your traditional account, and you're going to take it out.
From the 60,000, right? Because you're investing it.
Well, just say that your total net liquid is $100,000 inside the account.
Gotcha.
Okay, and say that Mrs. Dippity wants a perfect pool. Okay, and you don't have the money for it, so you're going to take it out.
So we settle on an above ground pool, right?
Yeah, but still they're expensive.
No, just playing. I imagine she wants the underground pool, and I give Miss Dippity what she wants.
Exactly. The great husband that you are. It costs $100,000. So if you need to take it out of your traditional, think about this, and you're taxed at 30%. Boom, right there. You get, so it's 30% plus the 10% penalty fee. So if you have to take out of your traditional IRA early, you're basically giving 40% to the government. Think about that. So if you wanted 100,000,
that pool is getting a lot smaller.
Yeah, that pool is going to be half the size basically, and that's why we tell everyone you need to have both for multiple reasons. But because people, when you get into a pinch and you need to take from somewhere, dear God, do not take it from a traditional, because you will be literally giving the government almost half of what it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Let's say you were super confident in stock and you went all in, and let's say you're 28, and shit's gone bad and your account went all down, where would you take your oh shit money from? Assuming you only had your Roth and whatever traditional you might have.
Yeah, well, personally, I'd get another job before I need to take any. I'd be working like 18 hours. But if I had to, for the sake of this conversation, it would definitely be my withdrawals, okay, from my Roth, okay? Because again, your withdrawals so your contributions, so say you're withdrawing, your contributions are penalty free, okay? Your contributions are penalty free. With the traditional IRA, withdrawals of earnings and deductible contributions are taxed as ordinary income. So, for instance, I had a friend that I was helping out, okay? Just think about how wild this is, okay? He took out $150,000 from his traditional. So he had to listen to this blows my mind. He had to pay $47,000 in between taxes and the penalty, okay? So right there, he's down to $103,000 from his original $150,000. And then, okay, and this is just absolutely ridiculous. His income, he went up in a tax bracket because again, it's taxed as ordinary income. So not only are you withdrawing that, so then this next year he had to pay more in taxes. It's so wild to me. Just don't do it. Don't do it.
All right, so I think that kind of sums up the basics of it before we get into Hugh's bitching part of it at the end. But there were some questions that some people had that maybe we can kind of skim through right quick.
Yeah.
Are you actively trading in your Roth? Or could you kind of go ahead and explain how you manage your Roth?
So I'm going to first define what actively trading means for me. I'm not trading in this every day, not even every week. It's basically like if I see a great swing that has huge potential, like KTOV was a perfect opportunity. KTOV, my Roth was all in, and that worked out well. So it's really more of like the longer term swings where like I don't want my big accounts to, I don't want to take up that opportunity cost, but I see huge potential in it and I don't have much downside risk.
It's so good for whenever you're like, oh, well, my money's not working for me. Well, this money, you can't get it for 60 years. So let it do its thing. All right.
Yeah. Let it do its thing. And so you can actively trade it. Okay. Because I get this question a lot. I'm going to repeat it. You can actively trade your Roth, but this is a huge but. For dear God, do not use it as your only account. I have a buddy that tries to use his only account because again, this is your retirement account, not your living trading account. So do not have it as your only account.
Like put it all in UAVS until Amazon fills all the holes about them, having a deal set together.
Yeah.
You want to be drenched in gains from all of the amount of gains from your Roth whenever you turn 65. Like you want to be like a single mom that and they're the best. Like just no cage, free to roam, just getting it off of your Roth whenever you turn 60. Is that too much or is that perfect?
No, that's perfect.
Okay, good.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect.
Let her run.
So I know you talk about a lot of things you're holding, but one guy was asking about you're holding QQQ in your Roth. Do you hold them long term or do you buy and sell based on market conditions?
Okay, so QQQ, for everyone that doesn't know, is like a technology ETF. Okay, so we went into ETFs a little bit, but basically what that means is that it's kind of like the S&P 500. If you don't know what the S&P 500 is, I can't help you, but hopefully you do. And so the QQQ is like a smaller S&P, and it just weights different technology funds. So I don't actively trade the Qs, just because
the Qs.
Yeah, the Qs. Yeah, that's what the pros call them, the Qs. So I don't actively trade the Qs, but you can. They're very liquid. You totally can. I just don't.
So, I mean, what about for other things? I know you say like OTLK, EVFM, are those things that are swings? Or I know you mentioned them as swings, but those are also things you're like, holy shit, I love them so much, I'm going to keep them forever.
Yeah, so I have UAVS in there in my Roth. I also have MYO. It's the estrogen. So we talked about it's like the prosthetic, but now people get the feeling as well. They have some real liquidity issues in my eyes, but if they figured out the liquidity issue, if they can get through the liquidity, then they can really be, they could be huge in the years to come. But again, I don't want the opportunity cost tied up with my bigger accounts. So it's a perfect for my Roth. I don't even have to worry about it.
Okay, cool. So could you kind of give the differences in a 401k versus an IRA?
Yeah. So that's really important. And so we talked about it about the traditional IRA is that, a 401k is set up by a company. So if I work for Johnson & Johnson, like we talked about, and, and that's why a lot of people have 401ks is because you're kind of forced into it. When someone sits you down when you're 23, 24 and says, hey, we'd love to have you. We want to set you up for the future. If you contribute X amount, we will match it with this amount. And of course you're going to say that, So that's a 401k. And then an IRA is an individual, okay, this is really important, the acronym IRA, individual retirement account. So someone that I used to help out, what they were doing was that they were moving jobs from working at a corporate to working, he wanted to start to trade and actively manage it. So he had to roll over his 401k to an IRA. So, so for anyone, again, 401k, think corporate. K, corporate, if you are terrible at spelling like me. And IRA, I for individual.
Yeah, start associating the letter K with corporate, and all this is just going to start making sense. Okay, so some guy asked, I have a Roth through my job. What do I need to be doing to make sure I'm maximizing profit? And how often do you recommend reviewing investments in your Roth?
Yeah, so again, okay, so for anyone that doesn't know, a Roth, so the technical term for a Roth through a company is a Roth 401k, okay? So that's when a company opens the account for you. The contributions, are after tax, and the match that they do would go into your regular 401k portion. So this is a more of an individual thing for you. I like to use it for longer term swings. I have some things in there like Amazon. I have some other things like MasterCard, Visa in there. But I also have, a few penny stocks that I see the future. So I don't really, I can't tell you when you should be managing it, but I do know people that actively manage it because we can go into it later, but the numbers, if you make a 20% return on your Roth every year, the numbers are absurd. You'll have like 15 million in 30 years. So I don't know if I can really tell you how often to actively manage it, but I would say this, that if you are really intimidated by your Roth IRA and managing it, then just pick out a few of your favorite companies or your favorite stocks and just sprinkle it. Again, diversity is going to limit your returns. If you have like a really diverse portfolio and you hedge it, it'll limit your returns, but it'll also limit your downside. So that would be like my best thing is that even if you only get 4% a year, the numbers are just absurd. And of course, the biggest thing is that you're not taxed that huge amount at the end.
All right. So I think the last question of the Roth IRA says, quick question, it's more of a technical one. Can you hear the ladies getting dry when you discuss this subject? Thanks. Yes. I hear them like it's a very crisp noise. It's sad. But this is what gets him excited, and it's everyone needs it, and so we had to give it to him. So this is what it came to.
Listen, I'd never be like, maybe I don't think I have, but I don't think I've ever sat down at like a first or second date and been like, do you have a Roth IRA? I mean,
because usually I'm texting her that on Tinder. Like that's the first thing.
Yeah.
Don't DM me if you don't have a Roth.
Listen, it's okay. Yeah. I don't know. I think I've never been like, like if you don't have a Roth, like, what are you doing? I think it's super
did that to
cool.
me literally like an hour and a half ago.
Yeah, but it's different. We're not dating. You know what I mean? Listen.
People think we are.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, wow. That's a good question. I feel like I probably do subconsciously just talk about Roth IRAs like in relationships constantly.
All right, man.
We'll have to have like a guest.
So yeah, like I did mention, we will dive straight back into Roth IRA for the advanced segment where I have to leave because I like to pretend I have a social life. But before then, we do have a little Q&A and rapid fire to really kind of dive right into this special episode. So let me hit this one first because this was a big one. Made me a shit ton of money. And Incredible Bob is the one that got it for me. It was SMRT. And it was a Delist run. He said he was stocking up on it for next week, pre-Delist run. Obviously, that run happened after hours on Friday, but could you kind of go into why these Delist runs even happen?
Yeah. So I totally don't. I'm not going to nerd out too hard because I feel like I do that enough for you guys. But the basic concept behind most Delist runs, and again, you have to understand that if you're a newer trader, trends change. In 3 years, Delist runs could be not a thing. They could be non-existent. Just like, crypto's coming back.
Buying
now.
on S3s right now and shit.
Yeah. Like I can't. Yeah, we won't even go there. But yeah. So,
but like that's not always a thing, is what you're saying.
No, that's what I'm saying, is that the themes constantly change. And we don't make the themes, it's just how it works. So this year, delist runs are huge. Next year, they couldn't be a thing. So if you're a good trader, I mean, if you're a newer trader, to understand why they're running, okay? And that they might not run, you have to understand that the market doesn't make sense. Don't even try and figure out the market. Just understand that it doesn't make sense.
Like, dude, you have to think. Sometimes one thing in a sector will have an offering and everything else will drop because the thing in the sector had an offering.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are some of my absolute favorite times to buy. I remember one time UAVS had an offering and Vissel dropped to like 30% because of it. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Just free money.
Yeah, and so the notion behind so now this is the valuation part of the delist run. Okay, if you guys look at SMRT, don't quote me exactly, but I think it was at 40 cents a few days ago before they announced the delisting. It was at 40 cents. I don't have it pulled up right now.
I got it pulled up.
What was it 5 days ago?
30 cents on August 11th. August 12th, it dropped down to 17. It bottomed out at 10 cents on Friday before its run.
So if you guys think in market cap and valuation standards, it going from, what was it, 35 cents?
Yeah, it was 30 cents, and about a month ago it was 35. So yeah, it's been on a steady downtrend.
Yeah,
and bottomed out around 30.
So say the difference between 30, so say they had $100 million market cap, okay? That just got thirded. So it went from $100 million company to at its lowest, a $33 million company. Some Atlas members can buy SMRT if they want to at that market. So the valuation.
Dude, funny enough, it's only a 5 million market cap.
Okay. Yeah, dude, we could. Yeah, I mean, that'd be no.
You could buy it.
Yeah. So the valuation behind it is that, now again, we look at charts like they're just cents on them, because they are. But if you think about it in a valuation, okay, something like, I'm not sure on the balance sheet about SMRT, but I can almost guarantee that right now they have more in assets than $5 million. So that means that the book, now again, we're getting super technical here because it depends on debt, it depends on so many other things. So, but I can almost guarantee that from the valuation perspective, that if something has a market cap of 5 million and they have assets of, let's say no debt, just for the ease of it, and they have assets of 10 million. Well, that means that liquidation, and again, I know I have 100 accountants inside my DMs tomorrow talking about, you didn't talk about,
they're closing
equipment.
all their fucking stores, Hugh. How the fuck are they gonna make any damn money?
And depreciation, I get it. I understand.
They're having liquidation sales right now.
Yeah, but just say that they got everything just say that they liquidated everything for market value. Okay, that means that technically SMRT is undervalued by 100% technically.
Yep.
Because
I mean that's exactly about what it ran. It ran to about 18 cents from 10, which is 80%.
Yeah, exactly. So and so I do think that it can keep going. Again, I don't know about the valuation, but if we think about it, it's dropped huge in value. This could easily go 25, maybe even 30 cents. But again, I don't understand the value. I haven't looked at the balance sheet. I haven't done anything like that. But if we look from
historical standings, even.
Yeah, exactly. If we just look at it, it's dropped in huge value. So that means that the aggregate price can go up, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So last week we talked about matrix a lot. So you have your 1 to 10 matrix. Could you kind of give what SPAC is and why it's not a 10, or if it is a 10? You say nothing's a 10, but what is it for you on your matrix? Could you kind of give that for an example?
Yeah, so I believe, again, I do, if you guys know me, I have literally tens of pages of research per play when we're doing a swing. So, I don't pulled up in front of me, so this is from memory. But I think it was around a 7.5 because there was a few things that I loved and a few things that I didn't love. What I love, boom, management. Fisker, although now Fisker, I like him now, but one of the reasons I gave him a lower score was because of his history. Okay, all great entrepreneurs do have failures, but that doesn't. My matrix doesn't apply.
Steve Jobs wasn't. He was fired from Apple.
Exactly. So if we're talking about management, I gave him a. That was somewhere where I was very, again, my matrix is very highly.
It's nothing against Henrik Fisker. It's just judging by some of the things in his past of some of his past companies, there are reasons to rate it lower. So obviously you have reasons to rate it, the management lower. What are some other things?
Some other things, the valuation on it, okay? I feel that the valuation on it is huge. Another thing that my matrix does not take into account for, and this is where, again, we do like we switch it around a little bit, is the bubble. The EV bubble in itself is huge right now. So for anybody that doesn't know a bubble, 98, it was the .com bubble. 2017, it was the crypto bubble.
2008 real estate bubble.
Exactly. So that's when things get super inflated.
At the time. Yep.
And so that's when things get super inflated. Now, I'm not saying that this is a bubble, but it could eventually turn into its own sector bubble. And I'm not saying that it'll bring the entire market down, but with all of these things running crazy, it could definitely be a sector bubble. Maybe for like the next 2 or 3 years, every EV company runs like 3,000% or something nuts. And then they come back down. So
aside from the management, what else is keeping you from giving it the pristine 9 rating?
Yeah, so the other thing is that I don't understand it. I don't understand the technology and the science behind it. And when I can't understand it, then I don't like it. It's kind of like, it's the same thing with biofarmers. I need to understand, even if I don't necessarily understand the molecule, I need to understand where it comes from. Now,
so with something like UAVS and Waiter, you liked it because it was so straightforward. UAVS package delivering, Waiter fucking food delivery, coronavirus, everyone staying at home.
Exactly. Another thing that I like on it is, but I don't love is the volume. Okay, it has good volume, but for a company that with that kind of market cap, we would like to see a little bit more volume, and that's just a personal preference.
Especially for the amount of hype on it.
The amount of hype on it, exactly. He basically did like a world tour for SPAC. So I think that that's important. And then, I do like the institutional holdings on it, but I would like to see, when you have because there is a lot of hype around SPAC. We all know the hype, but there isn't a huge backing from somebody in this sector. I love Henrik. I think he's a great guy. I think he knows what he's talking about. But if he had a third party who really was prominent, it's kind of like when Warren Buffett bought into B of A, like kind of like a Warren Buffett bank backing.
Or how space went, or even Tesla after they got their NASA backing for SpaceX.
Exactly. So I think that's really important. And then finally is the intellectual property. Okay, when they don't. I mean, they do, but this is a really tough sector, and it's kind of like a gray area because everybody. And again, I don't understand because can't understand the science behind it. This makes it really difficult for me. That's why it's not like a 9 or a 10.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So another question, without giving away a golden gem, what is one fun tidbit that you do during DD that someone might not have thought about? Is there anything different that you think you may do besides stalking their kids and what school do they go to?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I pretty much told you guys everything. Like I said, the multiple email accounts is kind of my thing. I think the biggest tip is that you need, okay? You need to know what you're talking about. If you just email them, hey, you guys gonna do an offering, it changes it. But if you walk in there swinging hard and you tell them, you tell them, and then they're like, whoa, okay. Then they understand that you're not messing around and that you know your shits. So that's really the two key things, I would say.
Sweet. Okay, so we've got a few more Q&A before we dive into rapid fire. This one is absolutely my favorite. If both of you guys could pick one animal to be in a fight, which would it be? Then give us your arguments as to why each of you would win in said fight. I think I'd be an oxen.
That was an oxen. I don't even know what an oxen is.
You don't know what an ox is?
Oh, an ox. Oh, I thought you said like oxen. Okay.
Yeah, it's plural.
Oh, what would I be? I would be a rhino. You can't kill a rhino. You can't.
That is a good one. Ox versus rhino. Size matters, and a rhino is huge compared to a bull. On top of the size advantage, a rhino's skin is essentially armor, and its horns are much more effective than a bull's. I've no doubt that a rhino is more aggressive. A bull has no chance at all. Okay, yeah, we'll revisit this one next week. Okay, so when Hugh mentions one less hour of sleep a night, what exactly is he during that hour jerking off? Is he finding new information on your positions or just looking for the next opportunity? I think a big part of that is whatever you complain about that you don't have time to do during the day. That's what you could be doing during that 1 hour. If you sleep 8 hours, like, look, dude, science wins. You need sleep, but you don't need 8.
No, dude, no, dude. Who is it? It was Arnold or The Rock that said, you can do it in 4 hours. You're fine. You sleep less. It doesn't really, you don't have to do something specific, but if you truly want to make it at this game and you work a full-time job, take that hour, go over charts, go back test trades. It's super important because that hour.
Spam Zach's DMs.
Yeah. Do that. He will love that. So I think it's really important. It doesn't matter what you do as long as you're being productive. 60 minutes a night is a lot of time. 60 minutes, 7 days a week. That's what do you call it? That's 360 minutes a week. You know what I mean?
30 years of that, you'll get your 10,000 hours.
Yeah, dude, dude, I promise you it'll change your life. If you just take an hour, and I'm not saying half-ass it like on your phone, I'm saying put your phone somewhere else, act like you're asleep. Like if everyone knows that you go to bed at 10, fine, go to bed at 10, and then from 10 to 11 is when you are super productive and you do everything that you can't do during the day. If you work a full-time job, then backtest trades. If you want to learn this game, backtest trades. Me personally, sometimes I like to read a book because 18 hours a day, I'll be, doing just things that my brain can't handle.
What the fuck are you trying to say?
All I'm saying is that I use that hour sometimes to relax. You know what I mean? Whether it just be like sitting outside and just letting my brain relax for a second.
Yeah, like a lot of times that may be what's perfect. Instead of like having that hour where you try and relax but you have all this shit going on, use that just to kind of get your mind straight for the day. Yeah, even if it's just waking up earlier or going to bed later. I mean, it's either or. It's just 1 hour less sleep, 1 hour more time you can do stuff.
Yeah.
Last question. Can you explain manipulation of stockies?
Yeah, okay, so this is one of the most overused terms inside the freaking world. I can't believe something goes down 2 cents. Manipulation. Something goes up 2 cents. They're letting it go.
Manipulate the bop bop.
Yeah, this is something that it really does take like weeks. Like manipulation. Now they can hold it down to a certain point.
They're holding it down. Who the fuck is they?
Yeah, exactly. That makes me so, especially with huge following.
Evil shorts and bears.
Oh. So what I'm saying is is that manipulation does happen, and we can talk about it on a bigger scale and a smaller scale. When we're talking about on a smaller scale, that'll usually be like, okay, on the high of the day, say something has news and it runs up and there's a high of the day. Someone will put a huge ask on the high of the day. Okay, now that can be two things. One, that can just be somebody with a lot of shares, Or two, it could be somebody messing with it. That's like low level manipulation. Who cares about that? Now on the flip side, okay, we have big dark pool manipulation. Okay, one of the perfect examples of this is Overstock.com. Okay, somebody now again, this is just the example that I'm going to use. If you look at that chart, they ran that thing down to $3, and in the past 4 months, it's gone from $3 to over $100. Over $100.
I had that bitch at $8.
Dude, that almost would have been an 8-figure trade.
That's a Roth IRA play.
Yeah, that was almost an 8-figure. That would have been an 8-figure trade, but that would be my first 8-figure trade. But so anyway, so that's really important to understand. Is that nothing is. If you're thinking it's manipulated, just stop, because I can't even tell. Okay, nobody can really tell full manipulation until it's like, okay, for the past 5 months it's been completely stagnant, and then boom, they just let it go. Okay, there are lower level manipulation, like someone with Zach's kind of account can totally put a huge ask up somewhere, and and that could be like little manipulation. But
spook some people out.
Yeah. But I hate that nonsense with, they're manipulating. They can try and hold it down. They can, but that's not really manipulation. That's just them holding it down.
I think before you start accusing people or accusing a stock's lack of movement to manipulation, first figure out who the hell you're accusing is.
Yes, please, dear God.
If it's a $400,000 wall, maybe it's not Donald Trump keeping INUV from going to $1.50. Okay?
Yeah, I hate that. Yeah.
All right, man. So a big segment we're bringing back. The rapid fire Q&A.
All right,
I know it's hard for you because you like to go hard and raw, but this is a quickie. She's not staying the night. We're not cuddling. It's just here for a little bit, okay?
Dude, I love cuddling. All right, yeah, go ahead.
I'm a big cuddler as well. Hey, we'll talk about it later, dude. Obviously arm behind the neck, and other hand you can do whatever with. I'm a hip guy, but I also like to rub, I like to mess with hair. Yeah, anyways, we'll talk about it later, like I said. Okay, rapid fire. Mm-hmm.
All right, hit me.
Okay, cracking fingers. I already cracked them a few times. Do you play OTCs, and what are the pros and cons?
No, over-counter is a bunch of bullshit. Do not play over-the-counters, okay? Because oh, God, I hate over-the-counters. Do not play over-the-counters.
Okay, cool. So I actually play a few of them. Bob gave me one on Thursday. He named it out. That was one of VV's plays, RWLTF, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And I made my second biggest amount off of it on Friday, so it was really nice.
Wait, let me change.
Okay, oh boy.
Okay, yes. Okay, if you're a new trader, just stay out of over-the-counters. But there are a few gems in over-the-counter. The difference between over-the-counter is that it's not heavily regulated like if it's on the New York Stock Exchange. That is why the New York Stock Exchange has such high, I don't really, because the SEC can suck it. But, when they're over-the-counter, the regulations and the differences are way off. Yes, there are gems where you can make thousands of percents, but in the same token, there are 50,000 times more ones that you will lose everything. Just don't play over the counters like day trades unless Bob or something finds a gem. Done.
Dude, look, the thing is, I even have a decent size, not crazy size, but the amount where $7 wouldn't matter, and I don't scale in and out of OTCs because of the $7 amount that I have to pay for buying and selling.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That sucks.
Okay, so the next one. What is a stock you gain the most off of percentage-wise and dollar-wise? For me, it's the same one. I was PRPO and PRPO. It was like 700%, and it was like $11,000 off $2,500.
I won't say the amount, my highest trading amount, but my highest percent was definitely UAVS. That wasn't my highest gain, but yeah. Yeah, that was definitely the most.
Given the time, that one fucking took you somewhere. Okay. Why do you scale in and out? I guess this one's for me. I do it because I find it more safe, and things go up and down all day. So I go in and out all day.
Yeah.
Explain the relationship between you and your siblings. I live with my brother, and we have a great relationship. We don't fight too often, ever since, we discovered a common ground. But, just brother shit. He's about 40 and I'm 25. So, we do have differences there. But other than that, it's pretty OG.
I have a twin sister. She is a huge pain in the ass. She thinks that I don't work hard, and I don't even know what to say, but she's great. She's great. I love her.
Okay, sweet.
Huge pain in the ass.
Okay, if I put $10,000 of SPAC into a Roth IRA right now, how many ocean SUVs can I buy when I retire? A lot.
A billion, at least.
A good bit, yeah. During slow months, what should new traders avoid? Overtrading.
Overtrading. Revenge trading.
Yeah, any revenge trading for sure. Like, stick with your plan. If you found something that works, don't mess it up. Both of you advocate against stop losses. At what point do either of you actually consider taking a loss on a stock?
Didn't we talk about this one last week? If there's a catalyst, catalyst is something that materially moves the stock. So if there's a negative catalyst, such as as a huge offering, failed FDA approval, failed phase 3, things like that.
Yeah, so I think that's from more of a fundamental standpoint. I'm more of a technical trader, and it's more of just the same answer. Even though I'm more of a technical trader, I don't look into as much of these stocks as Hugh does. Those things, like I got out of LLIT. The investigation spooked me off. I saw abnormal selling the week before, but decided to ball up by the dip, and it screwed me. And, you live and you learn. So
yeah.
Who's the trader that you learned the most from? Towards the beginning, I would say buy, sell, short. And as I've slowly, became friends with a lot of these people, I think Zach and PJ and Incredible Bob have taught me a lot as well. And PJ has such a similar trading style to me. But at the same time, it's not just like the big names you hear. It's like I hang out in the voice channels a lot too. And I think, a lot of people do. Like good shit there.
Yeah, that's the same with me. Buy, sell, short, definitely in the beginning, and then transition to, I learned so much from Bob and Zach. The two of us trade the same. PJ, and I swing trade the same, but he definitely actively trades more than me.
Yeah, I think another good person to really toss in this is our producer, Vinny, who
got to.
He doesn't really talk to as much of the Zachs and everyone as much, but he also gets a lot of this information. So, Vinny, you want to kind of dive into that answer as well?
Yeah, so I think the people I've learned the most from are obviously Dan and Hugh from working on the podcast and just talking about stuff during the week leading up to the episodes. But I also want to give a shout out to Kenny, R, Sonny, and Mr. Morty. They've not only helped me learn many things about trading, but have motivated me to keep my head up during the rough weeks. But the thing I love about Atlas is the fact that you don't have to hit up the big guys on the trading floor to find the help you need. Yeah, those people have helped me immensely just from watching how they trade. But there's also people who are incredibly underrated, who are fantastic, that you can always talk to outside the floor. So for all the new people in the chat room, find those great traders because chances are they are willing to help you out.
When buying stocks in preparation for product launch, is it best to sell on launch day or hold? I don't like to hold through a lot of big news, I'll be honest. I can just add it back.
Personally, I think it depends on the run-up. I think that's too difficult of a question. KTOV was a sell of the news, but then there's another one, INV was it popped like 100% on the product drop. So I think it really depends.
Okay, if you could only play one ticker for the rest of the month, what would it be? I think I'm using play and not like I'm just trying to have fun and I think I can make money off of it. I think TTNP still has that 28 to 30 cent range that I'd be comfortable playing all month, and if not, that AVGR until it exploded.
Yeah, AVGR probably. The volume on that, or I guess I don't know, maybe like a mid cap. I would say maybe like Amazon or I mean not a mid cap, but yeah, but you know what I mean. Like maybe like a mid cap, or if we were going large caps, Amazon.
All right, cool. So that actually finishes up rapid fire and this whole episode. So before Hugh gets into his real attack mode, I did want to say thank you guys for listening. I am taking taking my step out for a little bit. It is now his time, and I will attempt to maybe guide him along as I let him preach. So, as you guys know, give us a 5-star rating and stay safe as Hugh does whatever he's about to do.
Okay. I cannot stress to you guys enough how important a Roth IRA is. You need a Roth IRA. You need it. I don't care if you're 58. You freaking need it. You sign up right now. I swear to God. Okay. So now we're going to walk through. How do you get into a Roth IRA? The same way that you started an investment account. TD Ameritrade, E-Trade, they all have Roth IRAs. That's not an excuse. Okay, there's literally a tab that says retirement, and then you go down to Roth IRA and you sign up just like you did your individual account. That's not an excuse. Okay, I have mine through TD. Webull does it. They all do it. Okay, next, when can you contribute? Okay, the government likes to do everything together. So they usually correlate the last day to contribute. So for last year, so for instance, 2021's contribution date expiration to contribute for 2020 is April 15th, 2021.
So essentially it's the tax date. So it's not giving, obviously this year was July 15th, but usually it's going to be April 15th.
Yes.
Okay, and I know that you can file for an extension on your taxes. Can you file an extension to maybe extend the date that you can contribute to your Roth IRA?
Yes, exactly. So taxpayers can make an SEP IRA contribution as late as the due date, this includes extensions, of the return. So in a typical year, if you file for a 6-month extension, you would have until October 15th to make the contribution for the previous year. So for instance, the government extended it to July 15th. So you could have opened up a Roth IRA on July 10th, put the money and put $6,000 into it, and then on July 16th, put an additional $6,000 into it for this year. So to know when it's really important that you guys know when the contribution date is, because most people will get to January 1 and be like, damn, I forgot to do my $6,000 contribution. No. It's April 15th minimum. Okay. Now this is one of my favorite things about a Roth IRA. There's no required minimum distribution age. So with a traditional IRA, it's like 70 and a half. With a Roth IRA, you can just keep compounding until you're 85 and then buy like a sick ass car if you want. Okay. Next, your earnings grow tax free.
Buy some sick ass life insurance.
Yeah, dude, like whatever you want, bro. Okay. Next, you can contribute, like I said, you can contribute forever. Okay. And then you can actively trade it. It's awesome you can actively trade it. But again, don't take any money out, all right? Now, we should all strive to make more. I can't even stress this, okay? The government puts a limit on it because it's such a good deal. I can't fathom the people that are like, oh, well, if it's such a good deal, why does the government let you? They do, but they keep a tight leash. They keep a tight leash because they understand how much money can be made with this, okay? Just to give you guys an idea of the type of money that you could be making, it's absurd. And starting early is always the benefit. If you are 18, start a Roth IRA. I get so pissed when Dan tells me he doesn't have a Roth, because here's the thing, even if you don't have $6,000, put $1,000 in there. That $1,000 is going to be huge in 40 years. Okay, it doesn't matter. It's all about starting earlier. Okay, and if you're 40 or whatever, that's fine because a Roth is still awesome. But this is especially for my younger guys. Okay, say your current balance. All right, so this is going to be this is insane. But say you have no money in it right now. Okay, your annual contribution is $6,000, and your annual return is only 6%. Is only 6%. Okay, and your marginal tax rate is 25%, and inflation is 3%. Okay, you will have $700,000 at the age of 65. That's $700,000 that you will have in liquid cash for only doing $6,000 for every year. Just pay it like an expense.
One of the big things, I think, like even my brother's mentioned this to me. He's like, I make good money in my job, but I there's just no way I could retire at 65, 70.
At 65. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like he wants to do it before. He wants to wait.
I'm saying like this is such a better way that you would be able to do that, because if he would have started at 25, whatever, this would have amounted as a ton. Where if you're just making $30 an hour and you have 3 kids, it may be tough for you to think of, well, how the hell am I going to start? How am I ever going to retire?
Mm-hmm. And this is really important, okay? Now this is a really good growth, but if you make 20% on your one of my accounts this year is up 4,000%. If you make 20% a year on your Roth, contributing $6,000, and okay, now this is for my 30-year-olds. If you start at 30, your retirement age is 65, and you put in $6,000 per year, and you make 20%. 20% is nothing. We made 80% on Smart alone. So, and it's still going. After hours. Okay? Listen to how much you'll have at 65. $17.5 million. 17.5. Okay? Now, if you start, just say that you start, instead of 30, you start doing that at 20. Okay? It's absurd. You will have over $100 million. You'll have over $100 million inside your Roth. So I can't stress enough.
Can you kind of repeat that? Like you say 100 million, but I think sometimes that number is kind of unrealistic for people. Can you explain one more time how exactly this $100 million figure comes out of putting in $6,000 a year?
Yeah, so it's all about compounded gains. You put in $6,000 per year and you make 20% on that $6,000. So next year, and it doesn't sound like a lot of money. Like, okay.
Yeah, that's only $1,200.
Exactly. It's only $1,200, but that's okay, because guess what? When you start getting into, the bigger returns, I mean, Amazon's up 30% this year. Like, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You could throw your entire account in and make 30%. And when you start to really compound those gains, I mean, it gets so absurd. And the greatest thing about it, okay, say you had 100 million, okay, like I want like $1 billion inside my Roth by the time I'm done with it. But my point is that if you had 100 million inside your traditional IRA, like your traditional account, guess how, okay, literally $15 million would be taken from you of that 100 million. That's a lot of cash.
Okay, hey, I have one for you. So you're only 21 years old. So the max you could have in your Roth IRA right now, just via deposit, is $24,000 from 4 years.
I mean, technically,
18.
It's 18 that you can. It's 18. I mean, you can. If you're younger than 18, you can get your parents' consent. I didn't do that. I waited till 18. So at 18, 6,000.
So you've had $18,000 deposited.
Correct? Yeah. Exactly.
What is it at now? If you don't mind me asking.
It's at 49,000 right now. And I didn't do it. I just started actively trading it.
Yeah, that's not actively trading it, and that's gonna be non-tax money that he's made off of 18,000. You're like, oh, well, he turns 4,000% a year. He doesn't give these are things that are so out of sight, out of mind. Yeah. You don't have to worry about the price going down. Yeah. This is $50,000 now that he can retire, like a year's worth of American salary, no tax, just boom, he has.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, now I know I get this question a lot, so we can go into this. Okay, because the IRS will consider a withdrawal to be qualified or unqualified. Okay, if it is qualified, then it is therefore tax and penalty free. Okay, so now again, you have to have it for at least 5 years, and the withdrawal is taken because of the following things. Either over 59.5, okay? You have a permanent disability, okay? I know a guy with a heart disease, all right? Okay, next.
It's you.
By a beneficiary.
I know a guy with bum-ass leg and chicken
leg.
Yeah,
exactly. A permanent disability, okay? So again, if you have one of these things, then they'll let you withdraw tax and penalty free. Okay, again, you're going to buy or build your first home. Okay, now there is limits to that, but it's still tax and penalty free. Okay, and then if you die, then your beneficiary can take out the money, tax and penalty.
Rest in peace, homie.
Yeah. So now if that's for qualified, if it's unqualified, then you'll be on the hook for income taxes and the 10%. So that's, if you're taking out money, I'm going to say this 1,000 more times, do not take it out of your traditional IRA, because you will literally get skinned. You will get skinned. Okay, almost 50% will be given to the government. Okay, so do not do that. So I think that that's really important.
What happens whenever you withdraw your traditional after you're 60?
After you're 60, so you have to start. So the traditional has a minimum age distribution, which is 70 and a half. So you have to start taking it. But
right. So what is the difference? So you say you get hosed once you're withdrawing it under that age.
Yeah.
What is it like? So if you get 40% taken from you, if you take it at age 40, what is it like once you're withdrawing at age 65?
Yeah, so if you're starting 65, ideally, and this is why I tell everyone, is that you want to have because you're taxed on your marginal tax rate. So you want your marginal tax rate to be low. Ideally, under 20%, obviously. But if you're working a part-time job, fine, whatever. And ideally, use your traditional like you would a paycheck. That's what's supposed to replace your paycheck is your traditional IRA. Is that you get distributed maybe like, a few thousand every month. And that's how it's done. And you pay taxes because it's supposed to be your income. Okay, think of your traditional IRA as replacing your income. And the government wants your Roth to be your supplementary. Now, what my thinking is, and I'm gonna get a little bit of hate for this, is that your traditional is good, okay? But again, you're taxed when you take that money out, okay? Now, your Roth, you're not taxed when you take that money out. So that's why I can't stress enough. Make your Roth your main egg, okay? Contribute as much as possible because when you can't, you got to do the little rollover back door, John, okay? But the most important thing is that think about $100 million for doing the bare minimum. 20%, that's nothing. You can get a 20% return in one plane, Atlas, okay? So you could have $100 million for doing nothing. Now your traditional replaces it was supposed to replace your job, your income, your check. So that is why, say that you want to pull out $2,000, you have to think about how much you're going to get taxed on that. So if you have a financial advisor, they're going to say to you, okay, in retirement, how much do you want to get paid per month? Okay, because Social Security probably won't be a thing when we go to retire. So that means that if you want $2,000 in cash, then you're going to have to take out an additional 15 or 20%, whatever your marginal tax rate is, so that you can pay taxes. So I think that that's really important to understand that about the traditionals, that you get yanked no matter what. So that's why I love the Roth, and also not that many people have a Roth, and a lot of people have a traditional, but not, or a 401k or something like that, but not too many people have a Roth. And I'm trying to show you guys how important it is because and again, I'll come back to this again. The government puts a cap on it because it's such a good deal. Okay, that's so important. And the other thing is that you can contribute forever and ever and ever. Okay, I'm just gonna build up my Roth and just look at it till I die. But you can do whatever you want with it. And then
I assume you aren't done.
No.
Yeah, you're about to start again. Let's go. Keep going.
No, I was pulling up a chart. Now, for my younger guys like Dan, okay, I want you guys to understand something.
I'm 4 years older than you.
Yeah, but I'm like 50 years older. I'm like 50 years older.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, in the brain. Yeah, because.
No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
sorry, dude.
Think about this. This is for my younger guys because I swear to God, I'll punch you in the face if you tell me that you're gonna wait 5 years to do your Roth. I'll if you come into my DMs and say that I'm gonna wait.
That's $30,000 fucking dollars. Do you not understand compounding gains?
Yeah, exactly. I'll punch you in the face if you come inside my DMs and say that you are going to wait because you don't have the money. Put $1,000 in there. If you get another job, for Christ's sakes, and just make that job into your Roth. If you work 5 hours a week, that's nothing. If you work 5 hours a week, I would be so pissed because think about this, okay? Say that you contribute $6,000, okay? Say we have two different guys, me and you, okay? You're 30 and I am 23. Okay, just think about that. Okay, we do the same thing. We each contribute $6,000 every year, and we get a 10% return annually, and we're retiring at 60. Okay, now we're retiring. We're both retiring at 60. Okay, and our marginal tax rate will be 25%, and the inflation 3%. Okay, your balance at 60 is $986,000. That's cute. There's not even a second comma. Who the hell wants? Yeah, that's nice.
Broke ass.
Yeah, that's you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you start,
I'm frugal though.
Yeah. You're right. But if you start 7 years earlier, you will have 1.9 million. So if you're telling me that you wouldn't work a second job for $1.9 million, get out of my
the thing
face.
is, it's not just a second job. He's just saying for 7 years, make $100 extra a week to get that extra. Because if there are 54 weeks in a year, you make $100 extra a week. That's 540, or I mean, that's $5,400. You're only missing about 600 to be from the max.
Yes, and if you can't find that somewhere, you probably find that in your couch.
You can do that shit you can find it in your couch. You can find it at yard sales. You can go to a fucking a clothing store or Goodwill, and literally there are apps that let you scan shit.
Yes.
And see if you can sell it on eBay for higher.
Yes. You give plasma for that amount. Just keep giving plasma. Just go to different ones. It doesn't matter. They never checked.
That's why Hugh has a heart disease. He just kept giving plasma so he could keep fucking buying options.
Yeah. Oh man, dude, Tesla options this week. I'll tell you what. I added an extra 0 on the high of the day when I was just adding like a few options. I wanted to add like maybe like 10, and I added 100 right at the high of the day, and did I get smoked? That was almost a 6 figure. I kept underneath 6 figures, but that was not fun. Okay, now back to Roth, because I'm literally sweating. I'm gonna send you a picture after this. It's so exciting. Okay, so we didn't talk about this yet, but I forgot about it. That's my fault. But this is something really important. The 5-year Roth rule refers to a 5-year period that restricts tax-free distributions and the earnings gains on a Roth IRA. Okay, so remember I was saying that don't take your money out? Okay, definitely don't take it out if it's within the first 5 years. So that is, again, another reason not to take any money out. And again, another reason why you should start earlier, because that's that 5-year period. Okay, if you start at 40, now you gotta wait till 50. If you start at 20, you gotta wait till you're 25. Chances are you shouldn't need to touch that. Okay, and again, this is just a rant for, again, my younger people. For Christ's sake, I don't care how much money you make. I don't care how little you make. You need to be, this is the crucial point in your life, that you need to be maxing out everything. Because even though you're like, oh, it's only $300. Yeah, guess what? That $300 will be $1 million in 20 years. You're like, oh, I don't want to wait 20 years. In 20 years, if you have an extra million, tell me if that matters. It is so crucial. Okay, if you are, I know a lot of finance kids. I know a lot of kids in college that are, just getting out of college, going into the workforce. For Christ's sake, do not get that apartment that is worth 40% of your income. If you're paying rent on 40% of your income, stop. Go get a smaller, shittier place and max out your retirement accounts. Max them out. I can't tell you enough how big of a difference this will make. And the only thing that I hear, okay, I got all these licenses at 18, okay? I can't tell you how often I hear, oh yeah,
I forgot to ask you that question. How do you know all this shit?
Well, at 18, the day that I could, I got all my licenses. I didn't get a Series 7, but I got all my health, all my life, Medicare, all that nonsense, annuity, all of that. Like I got all of that. And so I think it's really important. The only thing that I hear from people is that I wish I started earlier. I wish I started earlier. I wish I started earlier. And that's because compounded gains are a real thing. Okay, it doesn't right now. Okay, sure, you make 20% on 6,000, fine. But in 10 years, when that's like 200,000, that 20% is going to be 40 grand extra, baby. And then, like in 3 years, that's going to be like 400. And now you're making so much more money. I can't stress. Start early instead of getting that more expensive apartment. For Christ's sake, max out your retirement accounts. It's so important. And if you're older and you're listening to this and you're like, damn, like, I wish I was 21 again. Okay, what you need to do is that you need to understand is that if you have kids, you need to stress to them how important it is. And number two, you have work to do, but you have time. Okay, that just means that you need to be more aggressive. So I'm not as aggressive inside my Roth, but if you're 40 and you're just starting up a Roth, be more aggressive. Actively trade that a little bit more because, again, it's all about the compounded gains. So you don't have time on your hands, but what you do have is compounded gains.
Yeah. I mean, if you're 59 and you have it, and, I mean, you might as well trade it like it's a regular shit. You're going to get it in half a year.
Yeah. And well, again, and if you're 59, that's actually a huge point. Is that, again, something to understand is that you can.
Yeah, I kind of assumed like that's what you were getting at by saying if you're 40, being more aggressive with it because like the gains are coming sooner than if you're 20.
Exactly. And also on top of that, one of my favorite things about the Roth is that there's no required minimum distribution. Okay. In a traditional, you have to start taking money at 70 and a half. You have to. With a Roth, if you're starting at 50, you can still trade it for 40 years if you want. You could trade it forever if you want. Okay. So that's really important. Oh, I'm too old. No, you're not. It's tax-free money. The government puts a cap on it. The government puts a cap on it. Anything that the government puts a cap on, they know is too good of a deal, okay?
Like how many Adderall you can get a month.
Yeah. Why do you think they don't let you have heroin legally? Because they know it's too good, okay? I can't even, So I can't stress this enough, okay? If you're older, you have some work to do, but you have plenty of time. You still have time. And this is your duty. This is now your duty to pay it forward and get someone else's head together and tell them the difference, okay? The difference of 7 years was $1 million. 1 million. Work 2 hours extra at a job to pay for your Roth. Who cares? It's 2 hours. Okay, I can't even stress this enough. I do think, but because I'm gonna put this in there, okay, I still like the traditional IRA. Okay, you should still have the traditional IRA. Okay, some key points. Still have the traditional. You need a Roth. Okay, the government looks at the traditional as your replacement of income. So again, when you retire, your traditional is supposed to replace the check that you would usually get from whatever job you were working at. Now, they think the Roth should be a supplemental. I look at it as your Roth should be your nest egg and your traditional should be your supplemental. Again, why do I think that? Because the traditional, if you take out 100 grand, the government instantly takes 15% of that. With the Roth, if you take out 100 grand, you get the 100 grand. So I think that you guys have to understand, okay? You have to change your thinking. You have to change your thinking into understanding, okay, the government wants me to think this, okay? How else can I look at it, okay? You have to change your thinking, okay? If the government puts a cap on it, why are they putting a cap on it, okay? Ask these questions, okay? They want the traditional to replace my income, but what do they want the Roth to be, okay? Now you think about it and you say, okay, the Roth is completely tax-free. Tax-free. So the more money that you have in there, the more money you get back. Okay, the traditional, it makes me sick when I hear, people going into retirement, they want to take out their nest egg from their traditional and they have to pay a 6-figure check. And they're like, whoa. They're like, I didn't think that was going to happen. Like, why is this happening now? I thought that wasn't a thing. So it's really important, okay, that we understand the difference. Both are important, but my personal thinking is that the Roth should be your nest egg and your traditional should be a supplemental paycheck. Okay, your traditional should still be a good amount of money, but your Roth is where you can really get ahead. You can really get ahead by just doing simple things like having a Roth for 30 years. So if you have a Roth for 45 years and you only get a 5% return, that is nothing. So we'll follow the S&P. We'll follow the S&P returns for ever. I think it's like the last 200 years. It's like 4.5% to 7%. Okay, we'll go with 5%. Okay, you will still have $1 million inside your account by doing the bare minimum, by literally just contributing to it, letting it sit inside an index fund. You will have $1 million. So I think that, again, please open up a Roth. Okay, you could have an extra $1 million by just doing the bare minimum, by getting small returns. You don't even have to look at it. You could throw it inside an index fund and just contribute to it for the next 45 years. What do you think about that? Yo, Dan. All right. Fuck, all right. All right, well, that's the end of the podcast, guys. Give us 5 stars. See y'all for the midweek.